Thank you very much, Ai, and good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Arigato. Let me start by thanking His Excellency Prime Minister Fukuda for great leadership and leadership not just for this event, but leadership in the area of population and related issues. At UNFPA, we value what Prime Minister Fukuda has done, and indeed, through him, parliamentarians in Japan and the people and the government of Japan for the work that UNFPA does all over the world. So let me thank you, sir, and we treasure what you've done. Let me also, whilst I'm at it, thank Mrs. Fukuda for the work she's done and she continues to do in terms of trying to make sure that we have the instruments to follow through the development of children and of mothers. She's been very innovative and creative in putting together these platforms. We recognize and thank you. I'd also want, of course, to thank President Johnson Sirleaf, who just left. One of the things we forget to mention when we talk about her is that she's a Nobel laureate. And we do appreciate and treasure her in Africa for what she's doing and she continues to do. And of course, our own President, Joyce Banda, for what she's doing and what she continues to do in and out of Government House. We at UNFPA and the larger constituency of reproductive health, we value you. And we want to assure you that we will support you to stay in Government House. Now, this particular event we put together to enable us examine what Africa has to do to continue to provide freedoms and rights for women and girls in Africa to be able to make choices. The choice that is before them is the ability to decide how many children they want to have, when they want to have them, and what distance they want to have between them. Or in fact, the choice not to have children if they decide not to. I think that it should be a basic human right for you to do that. And I believe that if we get into universal access for reproductive health services, particularly family planning, we would actually save many lives and we would find that quality of life which we are looking for mothers and girls in Africa. So this is something that UNFPA cares about. This is something we work with governments to provide. This is something we are in 150 countries around the world doing. And again, to underscore, thanking the government of Japan because this is something the government and the people of Japan have supported since the establishment of UNFPA. And we have seen changes around the world. We've seen changes in Africa. We've seen populations, that have, growth is reduced considerably in some parts. We've seen demographic transitions in some countries, but we still have a long way to go. We have countries, and as President Johnson Sirleaf said, that are growing at 3.6%, 4%. It is difficult for you to grow an economy when a population grows at that rate. And we've also seen that the rights of women and girls to exercise their freedoms have not been what we expect. So our job is not done. But on the other hand, we also have seen that we have succeeded in some parts of the world where actually populations are decreasing. But we also need to to address that. Aging and all of that are things which we need to address. So on both sides of the equation, there is work for UNFPA to do. But today, we're going to talk about Africa, and we're going to talk about Africa's demography. We're going to talk about Africa's challenges around women and girls. We're going to talk about what are the things we can do together between us, the peoples of Africa and the people of Japan, and using UNFPA and IPPF as interlocutors to be able to reach that young woman or that young girl who requires a service or requires counseling or requires information to be able to make choices in her life so that she can actually reach her full potential. That is where we are today, and that's what we are going to address. Now, we have two discussants who are here with us, who are going to speak to this, and I'm going to be partial again to my own Prime Minister, who is the and my own President, who is the President of Malawi, who would discuss this matter. But in addition to her discussing the matter, we're also going to have the doyen, used to be the doyen of African Ministers of Health. At some point, I was Minister of Health in Nigeria. And Tedros was the Minister of Health in Africa. And he led us into many things and created new thinking around many things, doing business differently. And I think he's led Ethiopia into a model which the whole of Africa, and indeed the rest of the world, is looking at in terms of how we can reduce maternal mortality considerably, how we can reach that young girl with education, how we can empower her to be able to make choices in her life. So I'm going to allow them to speak, but because the President has spoken before, I will invite Tedros to speak first, and then I will come back to the President. You don't have to worry. I've finished. I'm not taking my 3 minutes. I would reserve it for some other time. Tedros.